So a lot's happened in the last couple weeks. And to say that I'm drained and that I'm tired and that I'm at the end and I don't have anything left to give or to share, it's an understatement. I had expected to say something at the town council meeting last night. But that was before we found out some information while we were sitting there in the audience listening. I wasn't going to speak directly about what has happened to Kim. I was going to focus more on what's happened to me. Not directly about the person who hurt Kim, but more directly about kind of what has been going on with me. So, because of what information came out at the town council meeting where somebody came forward and wanted to speak to the privacy issues related to why Kim spoke 2 weeks ago, she was immediately struck down. She was immediately told that she could not speak because there was possible pending action being taken against the town, against the town councilors. So I, really tired and emotionally worn out, agreed to go home before the second period of citizens' comments where I had planned to speak. Here are my comments. I'm gonna say them now. I have questions. I have a lot of questions about the elephant in the room, but not about a certain elephant. Instead, I have questions about your committee membership process. On March 30th this year, I received a request via email from Councillor Kevin Lowther to sit for an interview on April 4th, less than a week after the request. I had to inform the councillor that I was unable that evening to attend due to appointments related to my wife's cancer treatment. He replied the interview was not mandatory, so I would still be considered. You have to understand that in March, we had gone through a lot, and that was before Kim coming out and so much of our private information becoming public. Kim had been diagnosed with kidney cancer, and I was really worried. I was worried about her mental health. I was worried about losing her to cancer or to really anything else. It was the first time I'd really faced that as a possibility, that her health could take her from me and then I could lose her and I'd be by myself. I didn't know what I would do, and I really struggled with that. I wanted to be there for her, but I also knew I had obligations to take care of, and then I had a job to do. And I struggled with putting my job first because I know that it's that money that pays for our house, pays for her care. But a lot had happened, and just to say that we were dealing with appointments related to her care was kind of an understatement. But anyway, I couldn't sit for that interview, and it appeared that Kevin was telling me that it wasn't mandatory that I sit for the interview. And the more that I read, the more that I realize it wasn't mandatory. But a lot happened in the next meeting, and some counselors took issue with not having interviews. So on April 26th, I was emailed again about interviews on May 2nd. And again, I replied, Thank you for the second opportunity to interview. This is directly from my email that I sent back to the entire group. Unfortunately, again, due to my wife's appointment schedule, a Tuesday meeting on such short notice will not be possible. I appreciate the multiple attempts to inform me of the opportunity. This is when I started to feel like I probably wasn't going to be considered for the committee because I wasn't able to be interviewed. Unfortunately, I don't believe that I should sit for an interview, even if I could. At the time that I applied, I was not made aware of the subcommittee's membership. Mr. LaPietra has a personal conflict that should disqualify him from participating in any process involving me or any member of my immediate family. I won't go into details surrounding his disqualification, but I will option to refuse to sit before him or be in his direct presence. If your group wishes to make accommodations, then I would be agreeable to an interview on another day. But I should note that my refusal to sit, this is really important, my refusal to sit for an interview under these circumstances does not mean that I will withdraw my application. I wasn't going to volunteer to step down from consideration. Thank you for your consideration. I had a lot of regrets and second thoughts about sending that email, and it was probably one of the most difficult things that I have ever written, because really short, but most difficult things I've ever written, because it effectively put out there something that Kim and I had kept private for a long time, and Kim a lot longer than I. I was first made aware that Dylan had raped Kim in 2005. I was first made aware of that in 2020, back when he first ran for town council, and she had one of her first of many real issues with knowing that he was out there and that he was trying to have some sort of bigger public life. Anyway, it gets more interesting. At this point, I received a reply from Mary Schlaba, another town councilor, asking me to withdraw my application. I was a bit confused and asserted that I would not volunteer to withdraw. As I stated before, I was willing to interview in a situation without Mr. LaPietra present. Apparently, that accommodation was not going to be made. Imagine my surprise when Mr. LaPietra then replied to this conversation. He said, in part, if it mitigates any potential conflicts, I would like to recommend pushing me through, to be voted on by the council absent any interview. You can say whatever you want. I know that nowhere in the town council laws does it really say that there has to be an interview, and interviews preferred, and the process exists, and they'd like to vet the people that are going to be on these committees. I get it. I understand it. I've been on town committees before, and the only thing that stopped me from being on one of those committees or allowed me to be on one of those committees was a vote. The town council looked at my name and said, I think we know who this is. We're okay with this. Okay, sure. And I see the interview process as a plus. My problem with the interview process is, number one, not enough notification being given. And number two, the makeup of the committee that's doing the interviewing. I felt there was a personal conflict between me and Dylan LaPietra. Right now, it's pretty apparent what that is, but at the time, it was a little more quiet. Although, in hindsight, most of the town council probably had an idea. Although, I'm sure they'll deny it. And the fact that Dylan replied just makes it all feel really dirty. Makes me wonder if I should have withdrawn my name, or should have never given it. It's like I was setting myself up for failure. I keep hearing that over and over again. Setting yourself up for failure. I'll continue with what I wrote. That was my last interaction with the appointments committee. At all. I'd never heard anything back. And I was surprised to even be considered to hear my name mentioned at the next town council meeting. I just happened to be listening. I was appointed and accepted to be a member of the Bradford School Site Development Committee. Without an interview. Apparently the only person to be appointed that evening that didn't have an interview. And some people made a big deal about that. So I'm going back to what I wrote. I'm having a difficult time understanding the process as it should have occurred and as it actually happened. And mostly I'm disappointed that my appointment to the committee would be seen as anything other than my willingness to serve a community I grew up in and identify with. Again, it seems there are a lot of rumors and speculation about the membership and purpose of the Bradford Committee. Rumors given credence by the action of the town council at the last regular meeting, where a councillor made issue of some simple trail clearing on the property to gain access to some areas done by some concerned residents. It should go without saying that as a general rule of thumb, folks from Bradford do not trust town government. I can't believe that anybody would ever be surprised at me saying that. But after years of attending meetings and seeing the lack of input from people from Bradford and the recent meetings held in Bradford by Bradford community groups, I guess I was pretty naive to assume that anybody from Bradford would ever show up to a town council meeting and ever expect anything truthful to come from that dais. But anyway, I'm getting off topic again. They do not feel represented. And I've heard over and over and over again the promises from the town hall, only to be disappointed again and again. You have not given us, I'm speaking about the town council, you have not given us a reason to trust you. You just keep giving us reasons not to. You know, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that our system, our justice system, our system of government embraces the powerful. It embraces people like Dylan. And it shrugs off people like Kim. It's all too easy for a man standing behind a dais to bang his gavel and tell a woman that she's out of order and that she doesn't have the right to say what's on her mind or to defend herself. It's equally easy for a man to allow another man to stand up and defend himself. I can't begin to imagine what the world is like for women who are surrounded by people like Dylan LaPetra. I can't begin to imagine it. I feel horrible every single day that I wake up, because I know that women everywhere are dealing with this. We have to do so much better. And women should expect better. This isn't exactly where I thought I was going with this video. This is actually the second time I've recorded this because I had some technical issues the first time. I've never really done anything like this before. But what this town has done to Kim and to people like her, it's unforgivable. Unforgivable. We're not naive. We knew that when Kim came forward that it was going to cause a lot of things to happen and a lot of stuff was going to go off that we weren't going to be able to control and that we weren't necessarily going to be a part of. We knew that lawyers were going to be involved. We knew that we might even get in trouble, somehow be held accountable by our legal system. As stupid or inappropriate as it may sound, the reality is that the cards are very much in favor of people like Dylan. I guess what I'm most upset about through all of this is the lack of participation. Where is the outrage? Where are the people who are upset about this? I'm not mad at you. I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just trying to appeal to you and to try to explain to you that the only way that things are ever going to change and the only way that things are ever going to happen and people like that are going to be kept from trying to control our lives and control things from town council. I mean, these people have that control. That this is local government. This is the smallest form of government and is the type of government that everybody can have a piece of. You have control, direct control over this process. It's not the federal government that's hundreds of miles away with senators and representatives that don't return phone calls and don't pay attention, that are bought off by big interests. These are people that live right next door to you. These are our friends and our family. You can run for town council. I can run for town council. You can show up every single town council meeting and you can make yourself heard. They might not listen to you and you might get the gavel banged at you, but they need to be aware that the people in this town are tired of their crap. It's always the same. It's different people, but yet somehow it's always the same. The machine that is our local government continues on. Our town manager's only been a town manager for like a year. Most of the people sitting up behind that dais have never sat behind it before. And yet, here we are. Somehow, we don't have control. I can't believe that this is where we are. We need to stand up. And if you're not interested in standing up to fight what's right for Kim and what's right for me, then you should stand up and fight for what's right for you. There needs to be some kind of outrage. The only way that you win this is either with dollars or with people. And it's best if you have both. And right now, the other people have the dollars. So please consider writing the town council, attending the next town council meeting, and making yourself heard. You have to keep trying.